third graders. Today we are going to learn how to write the letter J in lowercase in cursive. So today I just want to take note here up at the top. We have our J. You're going to notice that the J goes beyond those top 3 lines that we've been working with so far. So far, really, we've been spending most of our time between these 2 solid lines and this dotted line. Our J is going to actually go down to what looks like the top line on the next one. So our J is going to reach all the way down to where this line is right here that I am trying to trace over. So your J is going to extend beyond what we're used to having it go to. So just keep that in mind as we do this. Now where I just drew that blue line there, that's the same as this line right here in comparison. And then same as this one here. So to make sure that you have your J go down to the right line, if you want to, you can trace over that to make sure that you also have yours go down there. And you see down here on the final one, they added in one more line there. So for the J, we start down here at the bottom and we are going to kind of make our little, it's an undercurve towards the dotted line. That goes all the way back down and then back up. Now, before you start tracing or anything, I want you to remember which way is my paper supposed to be tilted. So just keep in mind, if I am trying to write, I need to have my paper tilted the correct way. Now mine is straight on the camera just so that it's easier for you to see, but where I'm sitting right now, my J is tilted to me. So make sure that yours is also tilted to you. I'm just making sure that this is kind of still for you. And so I want you to trace the 3 J's. Now notice when you trace them, you'll do the whole line part and then the dot. I think I forgot to fill in my dot back here, so I'll go back and do that. So you go from the bottom up to the dotted line, down past what we used to use as our bottom line, and then back up. So making sure that this whole thing is at a tilt. I would venture to guess that many of you are going to do it straight up and down. Make sure that your J looks like it's following a little bit of a diagonal, and having your paper tilted is going to help you make sure that you do that. So I'm going to show you a couple more examples. You're going to start on the bottom, go up to the dotted line, then kind of start tracing it back down, but go down, make your little loop, and you cross it at what was our old bottom line, and then make your dot. So you have a little tilt up, stay slanted down, go over like that, and make a dot. I want you to only make 3 J's right now. So just make 3 and then push play on your video again. So make 3 J's and then push play on your video. So I made my 3 J's, and now we're gonna look down here at the 3 where it says tell what's wrong with each letter below. Now these are all J's. We see over here what they should look like. If this is what it should look like, looking over here, this one looks kind of similar. To me, I think the problem here is they crossed it up here instead of down here. See, on the correct one, it crosses down at that bottom line. On this one, they crossed it up kind of high, so it made my whole thing look pretty scrunched together. It also did not go all the way up to this dotted line, so it needs to go all the way up to there. On the second one, this one is what it would look like if I was doing it straight up and down like this. So on this second one, I need to make sure that my J, if I did the way that the J is supposed to look over the top of this, it would be all the way up here, straight down, over, and then dotted. See where it ends up laying if I do it at this slanted line instead of straight up and down. So make sure that yours is not straight up and down and not to the other angle. This one might even kind of be over to the angle like that. Remember, it has to be like this. This is how we want it to be. This one is wrong. Okay. Then on the third one that we're looking at here, this one looks like it is more straight up and down a little bit, but kind of to the slant. It's pretty narrow. It could be maybe a little bit wider. And then my dot is way over here. That's really the problem. The dot needs to go straight on top of where it would be if it was all on that same tilted line. So it would be like my dot would be right here and the rest of my J would be like this. So my dot would need to be right there. So just keep that in mind as you're doing it. Now that you know what mistakes you've made, I want you to complete the top line only and then show it to your teacher. So pause the video, complete your top line, and then you're gonna stop and show your teacher. Now that you've completed your top line and you've shown your teacher probably gave you a couple things to make sure you're doing. I want you to make sure you do those, and I want you to complete these 2 rows. If your teacher asks you to show them again, then you need to make sure that you show your teacher if you need to when you get done, depending on what your teacher told you to do. I know for sure you should have stopped and shown your teacher after the first line. So go ahead, pause the video, finish these 2 rows of your J's. And now we are going to practice combining our J to other letters. So down here on the bottom, I have my J connected to an E. You can trace it first. And then when you write it, you're going to start on the bottom, go up to the dotted line, past that bottom line to the top of what would be the next one if there was a line underneath it, up. And I picked up my pen. Don't pick up your pencil. That was a mistake. I was ready to make my dot. I shouldn't have. So I follow this line up to the dotted line to make my E, curve it, and put a dot on the top. My next one is a J to an O. So I'm going to go up to the dotted line, down past, cross it at that bottom line, loop over to make my O and my under curve, or my, yeah. I end up with one of those little hash things, and then my dot on the top. So I'm going to do that again. J, swoosh it down, back up to there, and like that. So you can trace first and then write it. If you need to pause the video, you can. The next one is an undercurve to an undercurve. So this one is an N to a J. So you'll notice it has 2 humps. I know it looks like an M, it's an N to a J with a dot at the top. So I make my bump, I make my next bump into my J, all the way down to the bottom, then back up, and I make my dot. Then for my E to a J, I'm gonna make my E, down, over, make my dot, and I do E to J, all the way down, over, and I make my dot again. So just like that. So go ahead, finish your bottom part of your paper, and then you can do whatever your teacher tells you to do when you finish. Great job with your cursive.